Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Fire and Flair. I'm your host, Adriana Egan. It's been a while, but I'm always happy to have a recording session and record an episode. I'm enjoying this week off of work. It was much needed. So happy holidays and happy new year to everyone right now. By the time this episode comes out, it will be the new year, but I'm happy to end the year on a good note with this episode. And I have my dear friend, Elisa Lustig, with me today. So this episode is kind of going to be, there's two topics that I had in mind. It's going to be more just good vibes, fun, and laid back. But we met earlier this year through work, actually. And Elisa is just one of those people that she's an extrovert. So I always get adopted by extroverts. And so I just remember her reaching out to me, and we both shared a background of working in leasing. And then we got to meet in person at the company offsite in March, and we just hit it off. And she's just one of those people that is really great at networking, so warm and gets people together. And she's just a really great friend. And so I have her here with me today. So I'll go ahead and let you say hi.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, Adriana, for having me on this podcast. I really appreciate it. I'm very excited to dig into all these topics you have for me today.
Awesome. Yes, I'm so happy to have you on. And I said this to Elisa before we started recording, but she's the first person that actually wasn't nervous like everyone else. And I totally get it. Like, I was so entirely nervous the first time I went to record an episode. I didn't know if I could do it. I was panicking. It's gotten easier, but a lot of people are nervous and they're always like, I need a drink before. And Elisa was like, nope, we're just going to do this. Let's roll with it. Like, not nervous at all. So
I grabbed a cherry Coca-Cola instead of an alcoholic beverage for this podcast.
We are both sober Sallies over here, but yeah, it's going to be great. So super excited. And so to kind of go into our first topic here, something that has been a really big focus for me the last couple of years that I think anyone can relate to is confidence. And I think that Elisa is someone who embodies and exudes natural confidence. And I think that's one, why I was drawn to her, and two, just what makes her personality so like magnetic and bubbly and warm. And I love that about you. And it's something that I've struggled with, and I think we've had this conversation. But I don't know, I guess I wanted to ask you, like, what to you is confident, or like what has made you be able to like naturally have that?
I think honestly, it goes kind of back to childhood and like what kind of environment that you grow up in. But it also has to do with what type of activities were you placed in growing up? Was it, for me, it was being involved in Girl Scouts, being involved in youth groups, having to put yourself out there on the spot and not really having a choice of doing it. My entire life, I kind of just was a glass half full person and really just saw the best out of any situation. Whereas a lot of people nowadays are starting to look at more of the glass empty look out on life. And I think that really makes a negative mindset when you go into anything, whether it's work related, friendships, relationships, parents. And I think when it comes down to it, you really just have to like move past that and look beyond it. And I think that's really just what I do on a normal day.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. And I mean, granted, I've only known you for a little under a year, but I think that we relate to each other in a lot of ways and you're very strong. Like this year has been exceptionally challenging for you, and I really commend you on your ability to just like be able to move through every obstacle and like you said, see the best even when you feel like everything's against you. Like I honestly don't know how you're doing it, but sometimes in the moment you don't realize that you are doing it and that you're strong until you look back and you're going to be like, wow, I can't believe I got through that. But like knowing you, you're going to be able to. And again, I think a lot of that has to do with like your confidence and the way that you're just naturally able to move through that. And so it's interesting how you mentioned like being a part of groups growing up and Girl Scouts. So you said your parents kind of just pushed you into that. Like it wasn't.
Yeah, yeah, and also believe it or not, I actually used to be the most nervous person ever. I actually used to get sick and have to like run off stage and take a second and relax and take a moment. And I feel like those moments is what got me here today. And I'm actually one to always ask questions like, "What's your zodiac sign? When were you born? Does it like what is related to you?" And see if there's actually common interests. And I think that's another big thing in our generation nowadays is based on what other people are experiencing. I feel like there's a lot of generational differences nowadays, and how we think and how other people think move, in different situations. But yeah, I actually used to be so nervous to the point where I was sweating, getting sick. And I think I look back on those moments and I'm like, wow, I actually can do it. And I think another thing about myself is that I'm a very resilient human being. I think that resilience is a huge term and there's many different things underneath that umbrella. And for me, it's like, who do I have in my life currently at this moment that I can reach out to that will let me become that resilient person? Who can I reach out to have a conversation, to text, to pick up the phone and know that they'll call me back if they don't answer? And that is how I become resilient and looking past, hardships and moments that have been really tough for me, especially during this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, having a support system is always super important. Like those main people, you can reach out to and will always be there. It's definitely helpful and everyone needs that. Like it's great to rely on yourself and be strong and resilient, but you know, having that support from others is definitely needed. Nobody can do it on their own in this world. You just can't. And it's interesting because your big three, so your rising sun and moon, you're a Pisces sun, Cancer rising,
And
Scorpio
my moon
moon.
is Scorpio.
Okay, I remembered. I like usually can remember people's story, which is so interesting to me because you're all water signs, and you have every single one. Like
Yeah.
it's just you have a variety of each, but you're all water, and water is very like emotional and deep and
Mm.
motherly. And I think you're naturally like empathic and a caretaker. Like when I visited you in Austin, like I literally felt like I got the royal treatment because you were just so like accommodating and doting and um just a good friend. And like really I really appreciate that. And like I guess having all three of those water signs, like do you feel that is you? Like you're just so motherly, full of emotion, like always wanting to take care of others. And maybe I think having all those water signs does give you like some of that resiliency too.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that me having the main three water signs in my zodiac, I think, yes. Am I emotional? 100%. I think that all three of them are totally me. But I think one of the things that I forget about is focusing on myself. I think that because I have such a motherly attribute to other people, I, make sure everyone else is okay before myself, that sometimes I forget about me and focusing on how I feel in the moment. And I think that not a lot of people do that. I think a lot of people are always focused inwards on themselves rather than looking out. And I think I'm complete opposite. And sometimes that's a burden too. I think that with having that emotional side, is it great to like be there? Is it great to have that motherly thing? 100%. But the bad part of it is when I get too much into it and then I lose myself
Yeah.
and what I can do for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a lot of, I think it's the quality a lot of women face because we are just naturally empathic. Mothers just have that caretaker role. And it's all about balance. It's about being able to be empathetic and be there for other people and support them, but like you said, not losing yourself in it. And that's also something that I've really had to come to terms with these last couple years. But the more you're aware of it and the more you like establish boundaries, it does get easier. But yeah, I think like I guess when I met you, like even at the offsite, I just saw it. Like I think also with you being extroverted, like I notice a big quality in extroverts is they are the gatherers of people. They're the ones that take charge and lead. And like I'm the
Mm.
opposite of that, where I kind of will like fall back and let someone else take the lead. And I have more one-on-one relationships as opposed to getting a big group together because that overwhelms me. I'm always worried, are these two people going to like each other? Are they going to get along? How's this going to work out? But like I've seen um I guess like just knowing like as many extroverts as I do, like I see that to be like a common quality. Like at the offsite, like you're like, okay, everyone, like get in this Uber, like you're just like a gatherer essentially. And I thought that was really cool and something that I kind of like wish to embody at some point. And so like would you agree with that too, that you're just a natural kind of leader and like you take charge and you take the initiative and do all that?
Yeah, I definitely agree. But I also think it takes a lot for someone to like do that, because in the back of my mind, whether, I'm being honest about it now, but like I'll take charge. And then sometimes I'll second guess, like, okay, what do other people think about me becoming that person who's taking charge? Do they think I'm being rude or, overstepping something where they wish that they had taken charge instead? And sometimes I don't want to be that person. Sometimes I have to like take that step back and be that individual to see what other people are doing as well, versus me as human nature, as we're hunters and gatherers, and I definitely am that type of person. I definitely hunt and I gather the
Yeah.
best friends and bring them together, whether
Sure.
and I do that in a sense where it's like, when you came to visit me in Austin, I knew that you would get along with XYZ people, so I knew it wouldn't be a problem with you being introduced to them. Whereas like if I had other friends, I wouldn't bring them into certain situations or social settings. One, because I knew they wouldn't get along, but also what would be the impact of my friendship with other people. And I think really you have to think about those things and what those outcomes are.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And again, it all goes back to balance. And I think that you're someone who does a pretty good job of both. Like you're trying to consider the impact it has like overall on everyone else, but also just being that initiator and bringing people together because we need that, like I said, I want to work more on like being that person and I've started to like I am throwing a birthday party for myself this year, which I don't think I've really ever done in my life, to be honest. Like I had family parties growing up that my mom would, she would do everything, but I always just kind of did something small on my birthday and I was like, I've never had like really any sort of event where I've had like multiples of my friends together. And it's because of this fear of like, not so much how's everyone going to get along, but just, I don't know how to explain it. Like, I always have like the one off friendships as opposed to just like a main group of friends that I've had. So I'm always concerned about like how you said, how's everyone going to interact? Like, am I going to have a good night? Am I going to have to be accommodating to other people? Like, I don't, that's one thing I think why I don't take the lead a lot is because I don't want to have to accommodate others all the time. It's exhausting. In the moments where I have hosted and tried to have people together, it's like you do lose yourself in just trying to make everyone else comfortable and not being able to enjoy yourself. And I feel like I saw that sometimes with you. It was like you couldn't even enjoy yourself because you were just so worried about like everyone else and if they were comfortable.
Yeah, and that's true. I think that's another thing about being a gatherer and like being motherly and making sure everyone gets along. But yeah, I think overall it's really good to be that type of person. I think more people need to, take, advantage or ask questions on how to do it or change their personality, or, even if they didn't want to change anything, just still, you know, be interested in being more polite to people or having those motherly interactions with people and gather. But you also have to understand too that like my whole life I've moved. Okay. So I moved around from state to state. back in Phoenix, Arizona now, but I was originally born here and I lived here for 10 years. So you have to understand that I grew up with a certain group of girlfriends, whether it was through the Girl Scouts that I was in, but then I moved to Virginia and then I met more people in my middle school. And then in high school, I lived in Cleveland, Ohio. Then for 6 years, I lived in Austin. And if you look, I find different pockets of people. So it's not necessarily that I have groups of girlfriends, like where I'll see like, for example, my sister, she has a very specific set of girlfriends, one from high school and one from college, and she goes to them for various things. Whereas for me, I'm the type of person who likes to float and have friendships in different parts of the world.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's different for me. I have friends that are in Europe. I have friends that are, in Israel. I have friends that are in all across the United States in different pockets. And I know who I can go to for different scenarios and gather them when I go and visit in different areas or they come to me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like, I think you're someone you can obviously make friends anywhere you go and you just kind of go with the flow, bring people together. Like, it's kind of all over, which is good. It's dimensional and dynamic in that way. And I think that so like my big three, I'm a Scorpio rising, Capricorn sun, Virgo moon. So I'm water, earth, earth. And water and earth typically can feed well into each other. And I think that's why we get along so well. And I don't know what it was in Austin. Like we would just laugh. Like it would be the simplest thing, and we both would just laugh. Like that deep belly ache, like man, the endorphins are really running through my body right now, which was just wonderful. Like, I wish I could see you in person again to have that because it was like just so needed, so refreshing to my soul. I think we have the same like
It had nothing to do
humor.
with us. It had nothing to do with us going out and you being so sick that next day where it was so traumatizing to you. And all we could do was laugh about it the next day. And it's going to be a memory that lives on forever. And oh gosh.
Okay, had to take an intermission because, like I said, we were having issues with the Zoom link. Don't know what's going on, but we go with the flow, right? So something else that I'm going to take note of and try to follow your lead on because you do very well at that. And then kind of going back to the confidence thing. So like I said, I think it's something that you naturally possess. You take lead and it just has been a good like example of something I want to follow. Like you've been inspirational for me in that way. And I think it's hard for women to be naturally confident. Like I feel like we have so much working against us these days, and social media has added so much fuel to that fire. So it's just again, it's really inspirational and refreshing to see someone who just and the thing is we all have our insecurities, we all have things that we worry about, but like I just feel like you just are able to really be your authentic self and not apologize for it. Like, and so the example that I want to bring up is when we had that dinner at what was that place called?
I don't know, but they have peacocks at their restaurant
Yeah.
and I didn't
Wait,
get to see them.
was it Maddie's or something?
Yes, Maddie's
Okay.
restaurant, Austin, Texas.
So that was an interesting dinner. So
Oh my God.
I was still recovering from my hangover. And then we ended up meeting with someone who you used to be friends with, but I don't think anymore. Um,
Mm-mm.
and then she had a date and he brought a friend. So it was the five of us. And it kind of was not in the original plan to meet up, but that's who was able to come to dinner. So Elisa was her natural, like, bring everyone together, funny self. Made the whole table laugh, was the entertainment, super humorous. And your friend at that point, I had started getting a weird vibe from her. And I had brought this up to you before just because I didn't feel it's something I can't explain anymore. Like it's like you either get a vibe or you don't. And like you feel it. Like you said something about it at the grocery store. And I feel like I'm someone who I really try to, I guess, reassure my friends and be positive. So I'll tell them, no, 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 like you're fine. Like it's not what you think. Like it'll be okay. But it's like your intuition's there for a reason. And like I was kind of feeling the same thing, but like I didn't know this girl. She was your friend. I didn't want to say anything. I just felt a weird energy in the sense of like some insecurity on her end. and just not super friendly, like almost like a competitive, I think I'm better than you. Like when she walked in, she didn't say hi to me or her date's friend. And like she had met him before, and I could tell he was taken aback by it. Like it was just really bizarre. And I'm like, all right, whatever. Like I'm not going to take it personally. Her date, I don't even remember what his name was just such like a, what's the word that you could use to describe him?
Douchebag.
Yeah, well, you could tell he was just such a basic bro douchebag. She met off a dating app, but just very flat, boring, like no personality, nothing, whatever. Now his friend, on the other hand, I actually
What's
like.
his name? Chris?
Oh yeah, I think like the date, right? Her date. Yeah, I think you're right. And then he brought a friend who is kind of bizarre to me too. Now that I'm looking back on it, like the things he would say, I'm like, was it sarcasm? Were you kidding? Like, it's just, I don't know. Like, but I thought he was really, really cute. Like, as soon as I saw him, I was like, oh my God, like this man is just so, but like, yeah, he was very attractive. Um, and it's funny because a lot of people, like, I get this question at least once a week, like, what's going on in your dating life? Are you talking to anybody? No, there's nothing, there's no one. And part of that, like, I purposely am putting it on a shelf for many reasons. But how this all ties together is essentially like, I guess what I wanted to take away from that dinner is like something I didn't realize that I notice I do, like, especially in terms of dating, like confidence is something that I've really just been trying to work on in general, but I feel it the worst in dating. And so, like, this guy who, again, I don't even remember his name and I don't want to say it just because I don't like to say people's names, but like, I obviously found him very attractive. And like, I'm someone who, like, I tend to get very nervous in front of people who I guess I take an interest in. Like it's like I immediately like go into my shell. And I remember you asking me like in the car on the way home, you're like, were you okay? Like, did you have a good time tonight? You're like, cause you seemed a little quiet or something. And like, it's like you knew right away, like you picked up on it. And I was like, yeah, I had a great time. I said, but I was too worried about like how I looked and like became self-conscious because like he actually was sitting right across from me at the table too. And so it's like I immediately like dimmed my light, went into my shell, like I couldn't be like my natural self. And I know that that continues to work against me in a lot of ways. It's gotten better, but I feel it the worst in my dating life. And I don't know how to, I guess, move past it. And so seeing you like at the table, you were just like funny and yourself and you didn't care. And like, I don't know, it just makes me want to like embody that, I guess, moving forward.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And thank you so much for all those kind-hearted words. But I guess it comes down to like, this is something that I can't teach.
Yeah,
This is
exactly.
something that I can give examples of or be there for someone to let me explain a situation, or if someone asks questions, I'm able to answer them. But I guess it's like so hard to even say this. It's like it just comes so naturally to me. And I think it's because I just like have this mentality of like, I don't give a fuck. And I think it comes down to if that guy, I'm not single, but if I was and I wanted someone to notice me that I thought was attractive, I think that you have, if they don't care and they don't want to pursue, you need to let it go. It's the I don't give a fuck moment. And I basically live life off that. If you don't want to, and that goes with friendships too. Like if you don't like something about me and you can't, get over that or whatever. And I think that's what people's problems are, is that they are so fixated on what did I do wrong in that situation? And fuck, I should have done X, Y, Z and go back in that situation and it would have been better. But we can't think like that. We can't dwell on topics like that. We have to just move forward. And I think for this situation at this dinner, Adriana, you are such a full of life, humbled body person, and you do shed light. But I think when situations like this, you overthink what other people are going to think about you because one, you don't know them very well. So you automatically think, what are they going to say about me? And first of all, they have no right to even make a judgment on you because they don't know you. So even if someone did say something or in that moment or or even later, I would have said, that's not your right to say that. And it's not your, you can't say that about someone when you barely even got to know them or ask questions. And that's where that I don't give a fuck comes into. Who cares about the girl that I'm not friends with anymore? There's a reason why I'm not.
Yeah.
There's a reason why I'm friends with you and I love you dearly. And there's a reason why I'm not friends with this person anymore, because of her not caring about what other people think. It's only about her and not anyone else.
Exactly. And that's what I said to you. Like, I just got a very like self-centered vibe. And even like her interactions with me kind of took me aback a little bit. I felt were almost abrasive. Especially when people like touch me that I don't know. Like, yeah, a little like tap on the arm or like a hug is fine, but like I don't know. It's all in the body language, it's all in the vibes and the intentions, and that I just wasn't getting like any of that wasn't positive coming from her. And it's unfortunate that you're right, but your instincts picked up on something. And it's like I talk about this all the time, like leaning into your intuition. And I absolutely overthink 100%. Like you nailed it right on the head. And I feel like you're someone who's able to like explain how I'm feeling, and that's very like difficult. Because a lot of people like they don't get me. They just don't. Like I feel like there's very few people that can truly, I guess, like understand me and explain the feelings that I have. And so like I appreciate the fact that you're able to do that. And like you hit it right on the head. A lot of it comes down to me caring too much and overthinking and just dimming my light when I don't even know that I do that. Like I remember there was a point where I wanted to bring up the fact that I had a podcast. And a lot of times I don't, because I'm always worried about being too much or feeling like I don't want to be that person that's self-promoting, that's obnoxious, that's like blah, blah, blah. And it's like, again, it all comes back to balance. And I think that that's not my intentions. That's not who I am. That's never who I will be. So it's okay to talk about my podcast and like be excited about it and share it. And I don't know, it was weird. It was just a very like clarifying moment, I guess, that dinner. And
Yeah, I agree. But think about it this way. We're now in December, right? I saw you in March. That was 9 months ago. So if you think about it, you're still fixating on the situation, which means you're still embodying a ball of energy that you could be using it on something that means way more to you in your personal life. That they don't even remember you. They don't even know you. I'm not even friends with them. And like, that is my point. Like that energy you could be focusing on and using it. You're going to be, going into your late 20s. It's your last year being in your 20s. You got to focus on you, reign in the new year, figure out all the things that you were proud of this year and let that go. 9 months is way too long to be caring about something so
the
small.
dinner was in September, not March.
Oh, excuse me. Yes, you're right. September. I'm talking about things like I'm in California. We dealt with things that related to like being, a leader and things like that. And that's 9 months ago, but September coming to visit me. You're right. Cause it was Labor Day, right?
Yeah.
Labor Day
No,
weekend.
I'm not more so like fixating on it. Like I bring it up as examples to one, just show like ways in which I commend you for just being your authentic self and what I want to exude more of, and where I know like it was a clarifying moment for me on what I need to move forward. Yeah, that's in the past. Like doesn't matter anymore. We're never going to see those people again. It more so again was just a way for me to understand what I want to change going forward.
Yeah. And you came to realization about like that small part of it. And that's great that you recognize it. I think that it's great that we as humans self-recognize things. I feel like if we don't do it, then we block everything out.
Yeah.
And I think that in that moment you did realize, because I'll be honest, I feel everything. That's the one negative thing about being a Pisces and like feeling all the water signs is not only do I feel my own emotions, but I feel everybody else's. Yeah. I can like go into a room and I can feel that something's wrong or energy and I have to leave a room and it's like so powerful.
It is. It's a gift. Like, honestly, like everyone has an intuition. I think it naturally comes to more people easily than others. And you're one of them, especially having all those water signs. So don't lose that, like lean into it, because it's going to really be like your best friend. It's going to help you navigate so many situations and know who's a friend, who's not, who has good energy. Like I definitely have gotten better at it as I've gotten older. But yeah, you definitely have that gift. Like I saw that for sure. But anyways, so
Well,
I briefly wanted to touch on confidence. I think I'll probably have another episode at some point that really dives into like the nitty gritty of it, but that was kind of a little opener for me. And the reason I brought it up again is because you're somebody that just exudes it naturally. So I applaud you. But, anyways, we're going to switch over to kind of more lighthearted topics. So, this is essentially just things that we find underrated and overrated. I have like a list of things we can just like, pop ideas off each other. But that's another thing that like we really, I feel like had in common that I loved was we loved all the same things, like all the same products, all the same foods. Were all about quality. Like you're someone that really, I feel like knows quality. Like if I needed a recommendation on something, like I would probably come to you. Because I just feel like you'd recommend the best thing. So
it comes down to research. I'm
yeah,
constantly like, when it comes down to brands, I'm always researching. And
right.
all these people are on TikTok and, oh, I found a dupe. I found a dupe. And yeah, you can find a dupe, but like, is it worth it? Is it the quality or are you going to buy it constantly?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And I actually just came across, because I still am not on actual TikTok, but I watch the reels, and I just came across this account where literally she just finds dupes that are supposedly very identical to like the main product. And so I guess we'll start with makeup. I definitely am not trying to be an influencer. I am not an influencer. This is a normal person. I have like literally no loss or gain by recommending any products or talking about them. But I feel again, the average person, it's helpful to just like get these recommendations, and you're a great person to do it with. So we'll start with makeup.
Okay.
I just bought all the Charlotte Tilbury, like the contour wand, the highlighter wand, and the blush wand because
Love
I
it.
absolutely loved how it looked when you put it on me. And that I feel is actually worth the money. It's expensive, but
100%.
I feel like it's worth it.
Yeah, I have already bought my second bronzing contour stick. I have the blush one, but I do actually go back and forth with blush. I go back and forth with NARS Orgasm liquid blush too.
Almost bought that.
And it's amazing. And I bought, see, the thing is, it's so liquidy that what I have to do is shake it because it's oil based, right? There's a lot of oils in liquid makeup for it to stick and show what and define on your face. And so with it coming down to the NARS Orgasm liquid blush, I actually bought a hard one of the blush.
Okay.
And I also have a
Um,
concentrated one too that I use for a highlighter. They're all great products, but it also just depends on like what are you looking for, because I feel like Charlotte Tilbury's blush is more of like a
yeah.
peachy blush, whereas like NARS is more of like that pink rosy red blush.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of, it depends on what you're, great products, both of them. I love them. I'd probably give them a 10 out of 10.
So because I literally like was deciding like what liquid blush I wanted to get, and I put the NARS one on my hand, and it was just very like beautiful. It sat on the skin well. I like almost bought it, but I went with the Charlotte Tilbury instead. But it's so funny that you have it because again, we're very in sync on like the products and the quality. And honestly, I have to say, what is overrated is the Rare Beauty blush and highlighter. Like
I was going to ask you about that because I actually have it in my cart in Sephora currently, because a lot of people I watch, they say that they love it on like, I like watch influencers and very interesting that
I
you
think
say
a
that
lot of
though.
them are paid to like say that it's like this, and this because it's like a brand new product. The name behind it is Selena Gomez. So like there's a lot of, I guess, traction and hype around it. I think if you were to get anything, try the blush. But like when I rubbed it onto my hand, it was very matte. I was like, how am I going to get this off my skin? Like it didn't seem like a product that was going to be easy to get
like
off.
it was like chalky almost.
Yeah, and the color's good, but it's almost too much. It's like
I think it's because for me, I like something that's more loose. What I've come to find out is I like something that's more like oily base, and so I can set it with a powder. I'd rather have that so it lasts longer, and that's what I think Charlotte Tilbury and NARS both do.
Yeah, and I'm really trying to trying to get a glowy look. So I don't know, for me, like especially the Rare Beauty highlighter, there's a lot of hype around that right now. I put it on my skin and it barely showed, even over foundation. Like it just was not, I was like, how is everyone buying this? It sucks. And not to mention, so it was either that or the NARS foundation, because I put them on after I bought them and I ended up getting an allergic reaction under my eyes. So it was from one of those two products. And
Oh
it
my
like it
gosh.
hasn't gone away. And I've put so much on it, like hydrocortisone cream, Aquaphor, like a moisturizer. Like it's been taking a while to go away, but this didn't pop up until I put one of those two products on my face. So
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, as far as that blush goes, happy you got it. The one thing I haven't used the highlight for
don't,
it yet.
don't, it's
No,
trash.
I like the highlight that I use. I can, if anyone wants to talk after this podcast, but I can give you some recommendations on the highlighters I use. But yeah, good. The bronzing stick, love it. I don't think I'll buy anything else, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm very excited to have that now. Again, Rare Beauty, I think is overrated. Um, NARS foundation was also very, very difficult to get off. Like I just didn't like the way it sat on my face. And then I did try the Milk Hydro Grip Primer because I feel like a lot of people say that's one of the best. And I will say, like, it's not bad, but I like a primer that's like a lot thinner and more like I don't know how to explain it. Like the grip was sticky. Like I didn't feel good putting it on my face. Like I want something that's more smooth and silky. So I don't know, like what primer do you use?
So I do use that, but I think okay, I'm a full believer that makeup remembers skin. I am one to change my products every 3 to 6 months. I will be wearing a new foundation every 3 to 6 months. I
Oh,
don't keep
really?
the same one on. It's the same thing with shampoo and conditioner. Your
Yeah.
hair remembers everything, skin remembers everything. And for me, I use the Hydro Grip, but my skin has remembered it so much. And also moving to Phoenix, Arizona, it's so dry here. So with the Hydro Grip, it dries my skin out so much that the foundation doesn't glide on my skin.
Exactly.
It's like really tacky.
Yeah.
So I have rosy cheeks and I'm not really a fan of them because sometimes they're so red that I'm kind of embarrassed to have them. That's a flaw of my own that I work on mentally. But I do use Smashbox. They have a green primer and it actually helps with course correcting the redness because if you look on a color wheel, green is the opposite of red.
Yeah.
So if you use green, it actually almost clears that redness. And it's silky, it's thin, it's beautiful. Smashbox also has a photo finish one that I think that people use as well, but I think they're also underrated. They used to be like that top brand Charlotte Tilbury until they came into the game. So that's that. But I also really, really want to buy the serum from Charlotte Tilbury as a primer, but it's so expensive. So it's like you got to treat yourself for that one. But other than that, the primers are hard to come by. Good ones.
I know. I kept hearing about the e.l.f. primers, like they're really good dupes compared to the expensive ones. I bought it. And I will say so far, I think it'll do its job. I actually really like the Fenty primer, but I refuse to buy any products from Rihanna or Lady Gaga and certain brands now. So I have to interject here for a moment on why. I fell down.
I'm kind of intrigued because I think, isn't Lady Gaga the one that just came out with that new foundation?
Yeah, the house. Yeah.
I love it. I will never change it.
I did hear.
I'm obsessed with it.
I know. Well, that's great. I'm glad she came out with a good product. Now, here's what and I'm going to sound crazy saying this because I fell down a rabbit hole of conspiracy theories last week on Instagram. Like I came across one video and then it spiraled. Like literally I'm talking hours upon hours. Like I will never do this to myself again. It was so bad to the point where for the past week, I couldn't sleep. I was waking up with weird dreams. I had to sleep with my TV on. I had to sleep with the blinds wide open. Like I live alone, right? And I can say up until this week, I've never once been afraid to go to bed. I sleep pitch black, like no noise, like just like a psycho. I even was able to sleep okay after watching the Jeffrey Dahmer series.
Oh
Like
yeah, I was
no
able to sleep
problem.
after watching that. Those are fucked up.
Yeah, but like no problem at all. So tell me why I watch these conspiracy theories and I'm losing my goddamn mind. So part of it is because some of it had to do with like satanic rituals and like the devil and just really creepy stuff that like got into my head and any that's why I don't watch scary movies. Like anything involving the devil, I can't do it. I was shook it shakes me to my core. So let me just explain. I want to have an episode on conspiracy theories actually because I find some of them so intriguing, but like
You should talk to Adam about that. Maybe he'll do a podcast because he will talk for hours on them. Oh my
oh my God,
gosh.
I bet I can literally already just sense like the does he
That would be the
hate
best podcast, I think,
yeah
ever.
yeah does he wait I have to ask does he hate celebrities, does he believe in the Illuminati and like yep. So that's essentially this rabbit hole that I
Yeah.
fell down in is like all these celebrities are connected. They're
Oh,
part of
they are.
Illuminati. There is definitely a top secret 1% society that pulls all the puppet strings that we don't know about, but they're becoming more exposed over time. Like people are catching on to it. And like even did you watch like any of like the Jeffrey Epstein documentaries on Netflix?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like I watched those. And so they had this huge like sex trafficking ring essentially where all these
Mhm.
celebrities were visiting the island. Like other celebrities are entwined in this as well. Like it goes bigger, like beyond Jeffrey Epstein. Like he was the tip of the iceberg. And so what they're saying is there's not only like sex trafficking by these celebrities, but they literally will kidnap children and abuse them and use them in these satanic rituals for adrenochrome. Um, do you know what that is?
No, I don't. Elaborate.
Okay, so what they do is like when children are scared, their blood possesses like certain spiritual properties. And it like makes you live longer, and that's why celebrities don't age as much or they're able
Um,
to live longer. I know it's very, very far fetched. Like I don't know how much of this I believe, but
I think Adam actually has spoken to me about this before.
I'm sure he has. So it's like, even if it's not real, just the thought that it could be like really, I don't know how to explain it. I think because I am so spiritual, something about it just didn't sit well with me and it had my wheels turning and it really scared me because I'm like, how can we live in a world like this? You know what I mean? And like, there are just all these,
Well,
like,
what do you think the news is?
oh, that's why I don't watch the news. Like, I don't,
The news is literally pulled, even though we have different news stations, they're all owned by one company. Disney
yep.
literally owns, there's a map of all these major corporations and businesses that literally and consulting businesses, like even the people that we use that you currently work with, they are a part of that. They
I'm sure. In big pharma, yeah. So I'm
yes.
not going to talk anymore because I don't want to get myself into hot water. But okay, so it's all connected. It's connected through our news, through our government, through the Hollywood celebrities, the 1%, like whatever. It's all connected. And so is the Jeffrey Epstein with. So have you heard of this new Balenciaga like scandal with the ad campaign they came out with? Pretty fucked
Never should
up.
have been released.
It's well it okay, so get this, so it ties into this whole
Oh, I know.
adrenochrome like whatever,
Yeah.
and it's really like just seeing all the proof there and how the dots connected, it just left me feeling so, I don't even know the word, just like creeped out, unsettled, like really really bad, again to the point where I could not sleep and was having bad dreams about it. And so like Rihanna and like Beyonce have been known to supposedly be a part of the Illuminati. Same with Lady Gaga. Like, I won't buy their products anymore. And then it's interesting because so underneath, so there's an umbrella of luxury brands. And so it's like Balenciaga, Yves Saint Laurent, Gucci, um, Bottega, like all of those fall under what's called the Karen group. And supposedly they are, it's very cultish, and it again it's like it's all linked to whatever this hidden agenda is. And so for me now I'm like, it sounds ridiculous, but I will never buy any of those brands. It makes me consider what other luxury brands could be
Do
a part of
yeah.
this. I won't buy Rihanna's products. I won't buy Lady Gaga. Like all those people, I'm like, nope, it's a no from me.
I'd probably buy Coco Chanel. She came up on a different story.
Yeah, I was gonna say something about Chanel really draws me in. Like I have a fake Chanel bag. Hopefully real one day, but I would like
No,
to learn
Chanel
more
is
about her story.
yeah, Chanel's story is completely different in how the upbringing of her became thing. But do you see the House of Gucci movie?
No, I want to though.
So yeah, so that's another thing. And Lady Gaga plays it, the main
Yes,
character.
that's what somebody.
So so if you put those blocks together, I mean, what else is there to like? If people don't know about these topics that we're talking about right now, I highly recommend you go research it. Maybe not go down the rabbit hole like Adriana did,
Say
but
maybe not, or you'll have nightmares.
but I think that it's good for us to get informed. And I think throughout life, it kind of stems back to the childhood. How are you brought up? Now, these famous people are having children. How do you introduce the life that they're living or having kids or, whatever? And like political parties are involved. And that's why I think things are so rigged. And that's another thing. Like before I met Adam, he was like, you look at life as like such a rainbow and sunshine type of thing, but there are more things beyond that you can't see.
Yeah.
And that's where his mind is corrupted because he did go down that rabbit hole. He did believe conspiracy theories. That's a whole nother conversation, and maybe we can have a three-way podcast about those things.
That would
But
be fun.
yeah, I think it would be a crazy podcast, to say the least. But it goes back to that. And yes, I agree with you. I'm not buying from those specific brands like Fenty and Lady Gaga. But again, it's for me, I didn't buy it because I bought it because of the quality of the brand,
Yeah,
not necessarily of like potentially thinking that they're a part of this conspiracy theory.
Right. And I'm not like gonna chastise anyone for buying it because I even considered myself, how far do I really want to go? And like, I guess protesting in my own way if I do like the quality of something. It's just more so for me, it's not going to be my first pick, is what
Of
I'm
course.
saying. Like, because now it's so in the back of my head and the stupid Zoom
Yep.
timer's on. So we'll wrap this up in like 10 minutes, even though I really want to keep going because
No, it's okay.
what happens with the podcast. It's like 2 hours later, it goes by in 10 minutes. But we'll definitely have to do another one and like also bring Adam in because now I'm very curious. I want to pick his brain. And again,
Oh, please do.
he and Tim, I've never met two people that are so similar because Tim was the same way. He was like fucking Eeyore. Like he just had the opposite of like the half glass full. And it's great to be a realist and to like see the real side of things. But it's like if you are always living in that state, you will never find joy in anything. Like how can
100%.
you live that way? Like it's not fun. Like I kind of almost have to choose to be ignorant to what I do know at this point. It's like it's a double-edged sword because it's like on one end, I do know more, I'm more informed, I see things in a different light, but I also don't want to fall into that darkness and be pessimistic.
Yeah.
So anyways, enough
But
about
it's so good that you're thinking outside that box. Whereas like I feel like a lot of people, again, it goes back to generational differences that like we think one way because we were raised to think another way. And then once you start thinking out that box, people think you're crazy for having conversations like this. And that's another thing why I'm so happy to be friends with you, is because we are able to have conversations like this and be like-minded. And even if I said something that you didn't agree on, I know that we would have that conversation without disrespect. And I feel like that's another thing about people in life that we come across is like, if you were to say one bad thing, people shut you out just because they don't agree with you on one topic. Whereas like for me and Adam or you, we are able to talk about many things without, and like actually play devil's advocate and hear other people's experiences or adopt what they're saying.
I mean, if you're just like that close-minded and uncultured that you can't have an intelligent conversation, then like that's a whole other problem that you need to sort out. So
for their own selves.
Yeah, exactly. But I guess we'll end this with just a couple other, I guess, things in my opinion that I find to be good quality and underrated. So I really like the Kush mascara that they sell at Sephora. It's like one of the only ones, like I have no eyelashes, so like I really enjoy that product. I love the CC or IT Cosmetics CC cream. That gives a really nice finish, so I recommend that. I really like the Anastasia eyebrow pencil. It's my favorite. I have not come across.
Anastasia.
I know. I was like, wait, Anastasia or so you can
Anastasia is the.
You can pronounce it both ways, but I think for the
I
beauty
know.
product, you're right. It's
Anastasia Beverly Hills.
Yes.
What product though? What were you talking about?
You're right. Anastasia Beverly Hills. The eyebrow pencil. Love it.
Oh yeah, everyone. That's like what they're known for. Oh my God, that's how their company was created.
It's my favorite.
And to go back to the Kush mascara, I don't know if you know this and why it's called Kush, but they actually use oil from
CBD or hemp.
CBD and hemp to help the natural cells and organisms produce your eyelashes without hurting them, because there is some mascara that are, they hurt your eyelashes here. But other than, I like Kush. I like the brush of it. I like how thick it puts on. You don't need a lot. You don't need to like do this. Also, a tip and trick for anyone listening: for mascara, do not take the cap and push it down and in and out
like multiple
times. You will put bacteria into your thing and it will dry out sooner and you'll have to buy more. Literally swish it around, pull it out, and put it on your lashes. Do not do that. Do not do that. Okay.
You literally, your face when you saw me do that, you were just like, you're not supposed to do that, right? What are you doing?
Yeah, I was like, don't do that. Don't do that.
Okay. Again, I'll have to keep that in the back of my mind. Also, okay, Abercrombie's jeans are super expensive, but my God, they are the only jeans that I can find that actually fit my body. Like, I cannot find jeans anywhere else. Like, it's so bad. They don't make them for my body type. Like, only I've been able to find.
We have an outlet here.
Ooh, lucky girl.
Literally 20 minutes from me. I was literally just there 2 weeks ago. They have a Lululemon outlet next to an Abercrombie outlet next to an Express outlet. And those are literally my 3 wardrobes.
That's hilarious, but so dangerous.
Oh my God, it's awful, but good.
You're going to need some self-control with that one.
I didn't know that.
Let's see, what else do I have on my list? Okay, some things that I find are to be overrated. The Barefoot Dreams blanket is not worth $100 at all.
I don't even know what blanket you're talking about.
All the Instagram influencers and bloggers talk about it. They have a Walmart dupe, which is probably better than the actual thing, but this Barefoot Dreams blanket,
$100?
It's not worth the money at all. Home Chef meals, so much sodium, like almost 1,000 milligrams of sodium, even in the healthy ones. So
our body naturally makes sodium. We don't need extra.
No. And then I'm conflicted on the Dyson Airwrap and Spanx leggings. Those are in my middle category because I don't know.
Well, for someone who owns a Dyson, what is your opinion?
Okay, I will say the actual hair dryer I absolutely love. It gives a really nice non-fizzy.
Yes.
Yeah, it's really healthy on your hair because it doesn't produce as much heat as other products. So the only thing I'm disappointed with is the curling ones because they just don't stay. Maybe it's my hair, but I've tried them on extensions. They looked really good on your hair and the curl stayed, but it didn't on mine. So
actually, I don't even have my extensions in my hair right now. And I've been dying to get an Airwrap. Or did you see Shark Vacuum came out with a dupe?
Oh, they did?
Yeah, it's less than $200 and you can get it. And there are people who are out there on the TikTok, Instagram reel comparing them. And there are people saying that the dupe for the Dyson Airwrap that Shark came out with is a lot better and holds curls more. So now people don't have to spend $500 to $700 on a Dyson.
I don't think it's worth the money, especially if the Shark one's better. And I like Shark vacuums. I remember my mom had
they're amazing. Amazing. But also Dyson came out with a vacuum just like Shark. They both have the small stand and everything.
Interesting. So yeah, I don't know. I would say if you have the money, the Dyson could be worth it, but don't break your bank over it. And then the Spanx leggings.
I've heard good things. They came out. Have you heard about her story and how she became big?
I don't think so. I know she's been on a lot of talk shows and been promoted a lot. I will say the Spanx leggings are very flattering, I guess for me, because I am very sensitive to certain fabrics. Like I don't like
Yep.
wearing them for a long time. Like they to me get uncomfortable. So that's my only like drawback with them.
Yeah, I'm a Lululemon girl for sure. A line legging, best thing I've ever purchased. A line tank top's best thing. And I mean, I know there's a lot of people who probably listen to this or, where Lululemon would agree with me. But as far as Spanx go, I think the cool thing about this CEO who and founder of the company, she actually was on Shark Tank.
Oh,
She came to Shark Tank with the idea of Spanx and they turned her down. And she decided there's a
good for
podcast
her.
and or a documentary on her
Yeah.
that she was speaking about the company and whatnot. And she came out and they have briefs, Spank briefs, and they are just perfect. And I think people should really look into it.
Yeah, definitely. No, I think Spanx overall is good. We literally have less than a minute on this stupid countdown, and I know that you have to go. So we have to kind of end this on an abrupt note, but I would love to have you back on, especially if Adam wants to join, we can figure out an episode, but just glad we were able to have this one. And like I said, you're just such a natural when it comes to speaking in general. And I am really glad we had this episode. It was so much fun. And thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for having me and Happy New Year to everyone listening.
Yes, we hope everyone has a great new year and we will be back.